Hi there, glad to see you all. My name is Stacy Yankova. I am Gamer lead at Innovex, and today I will moderate our conference. I would like to introduce next our speaker. It's Dominique Busso. Hi, Dominique.
Hello.
Dominique is founder and CEO of the company askblu.ai, and today we will discuss our topic using real-time in-game churn prediction in mobile games. So, Dominique, please go ahead.
Thank you very much, Stacy. I'm very glad to be here with you all. My presentation will be in two parts. First, I will tell you why we are using machine learning for mobile games, and then I will make a focus on real-time churn prediction. And we have time at the end for questions, of course. So you all know the magical formula in mobile gaming. Your CPI has to be lower than your LTV. CPI, it's acquisition, all your acquisition channels and all what you are doing for acquisition. And your LTV depends on two main things: how well you retain your players and how well you monetize these players. You all know also these numbers. Billions are spent every year for player acquisition, and on average, 90% of its players will churn before day 30. So what means that for acquisition, there is a lot of solutions, a lot of companies helping studios and publishers for doing all the acquisition work. But when we speak about retention and monetization, studios are very often left alone with a lot of work to do. The impact on improving retention can be huge. We took an example of a game with a CPI of 40 cents and an average revenue per daily active users of 15 cents. And let's suppose that you do a user acquisition of 50,000 new players per day during 30 days. Let's suppose that your game has these retention rates: 30% day 1, 6% day 7, 3% day 28. Your revenue minus cost of UA will be around 300,000 euros. So LTV 60 cents. Now, let's suppose that you are able to improve your retention just 2% on day 7 and 1% on day 28. So your game will be 8% day 7 and 4% retention day 28. Then your revenue minus cost of UA is up to almost 50,000 euros. So your LTV goes up to 72 cents. Meaning that with just these 2% more of day 7 and 1% more in day 28, you have a benefit of almost 200,000 euros. So that's a huge amount of money for just a few percent of better retention in your game. So what are the pain points that studios and developers have? Just for information, we started as a mobile game studios. We were one of the first studios to develop mobile games in France. And so we started the askblu project because we lived all these problems and we wanted to find solutions. The first pain point is that your retention monetization depends on a lot of balancing in your game. The balancing of the difficulty of your levels, of your stages, balancing on the ad pressures, on the monetization, etc., etc. So game balancing is complex and tedious. You set up some analytics tools, set up some events, try to see what's happening in your game. You see that you lose too many players in stage 10, but why? What's happening? Is it too difficult, too easy? Something happened before? It's very long and very tedious to do. You might use some A/B testing solutions. Again, very tedious. You send A to some people, to some players, B to other players. You need to wait. You need to set up some reports to compare, to make a decision which one is the best. And then you send A to everybody or B to everybody. And then after 1 month, you might have to redo it again because you might have some new players, new acquisition channels. So all this is very long and very time consuming. Second pain point is that mobile players are all different, especially for mobile gaming. So even if you have some balancing which are good for your average players, it will never be good for every player. Every players are different, so one size will not fit all. Delivering the same balancing to all players is not optimum, and you lose players and you lose LTV. The third pain point is that now, if you want to do something to help your retention, you need to act immediately when the player is in your game. That's the best place to act, to have actions on your players, not later, a few days later, with email, in-app purchase, notification, etc. So that's the key pain point here. You need to act immediately in your game. That's what we call real time in game. So machine learning, we are using machine learning for mobile gaming because it's really a new paradigm. I like to compare it. I spoke about A/B testing, how it's very long and tedious and difficult. Machine learning is like you are doing real-time player personalization, Okay, so meaning that we can tackle the 3 pain points. First thing, we receive events from players all the time, all what they do. So you can have a machine learning model which is updated regularly and continuously, depending on what you want to do. It can be updated every day, every week. It depends on what you are doing, prediction, personalization, etc. So that's very important. It means that if you have some new types of players, you make some changes, etc., the machine learning will learn from all the new behavior of the new players, and you don't have, to redo all your testings. The second is that with machine learning, we work at the player level. Pain point number 2 is that players are all different. So we always work at player level. If it's personalization, it's to personalize the difficulty for a player. If it's a prediction, it's to predict the churn risk for a player. So we really work at the player level. And the third pain point, obviously, what we call real-time player personalization means that you can act in game based on what the platform is telling you. I'd like to give a little focus on this real time. What does it mean really concrete for you as game developers? It means that once you integrate our SDK in your game, we receive events, very simple and anonymous events. Simple events. We are not talking to data scientists, etc. We are talking to game developers, game designers, level designers. So the events are really very simple. The player starts a session, he's winning, he wins, he lost, he has been helped, he's making an in-app purchase, he's watching a rewarded video. That's the type of events that we get. So very simple events. These events allow us to update data and to update a machine learning model. What is very important is that each game has its own machine learning model, because the model is built with the data from this game. And each feature has its own machine learning model. So the machine learning model that we build and the algorithm that we use, for instance, for personalization, is not the same as the one we use for churn prediction, obviously. So this machine learning model can be updated automatically every day, every week, depends on what we want to do. And this means that in-game, we can make an inference in-game, make a personalization, make a prediction in-game. So for instance, for personalization, in-game, before a player is starting a stage, the platform will tell your game, okay, for this player, keep your difficulty or make it easier or harder immediately in-game. So you can change the difficulty before the player is starting the stage. Then you can take, as I said, in-game actions. Okay, so that's really the key in using machine learning for your game. Obviously, askblu is a full SaaS solution, so you integrate the SDK, but everything is done on our platform: data collection, data computing, machine learning, updating, etc. Inferences, everything is done on the platform. It's a full SaaS solution. Now let's focus a little bit on player churn. On the churn, I don't have a counter, so I don't know where I am in terms of timing. So we'll see. I don't know if I'm going too fast or too slow. So churn prediction. The question is the player going to churn soon? The definition that we are using for churning is after this session, the player will not play again for at least the next 7 days. Okay, we don't want to take a definition which is too last, because you need to act before it's too late. So what's the definition of churn that we have? The player will not play at least any session in the next 7 days. If you have a new game, the way it works is that you integrate our SDK, and we need to gather data. Obviously, we need to gather data about your players, what they are doing. We need at least 1 month of data because we want to be able to see what's happening for new players engaged, etc. If you have more, it's better. But if it's a new game, 1 month, you want to start as soon as possible. So 1 month is the minimum that we need to get. And just to give you an idea, we need at least 200,000 sessions in order to build a first model. Again, more sessions is always better. But that gives you an idea, depending of your game, your number of sessions per day, etc. Give you an idea of the minimum that we need to build a model. When we have enough data, we can build a churn prediction model. And very important, we can create what we call an efficiency matrix, also called a coefficient matrix, that will give a precise view of the quality of the prediction. I will tell you more about that a little bit later. If we think that the quality of a prediction is not good enough, we just continue to gather data, and then we can, after a few days, make another model and make another matrix. And when we think that, okay, the quality is okay, obviously you see as a studio, you can see also this matrix. If you decide that it's okay, the model is ready, and we can start the prediction of the players in your game. Now, last thing important, we never predict on the session 1, 2, 3 because we estimate that we don't have enough data on the player to predict. So we start to predict at session 4 and after. Let's suppose that in your game you have an average of 2 sessions per day. That means that we can start the prediction on the second day. So that's not too bad. Now, if your game is already live, it's much faster to work with us because we can receive a file of the sessions that we need, the data that we need. Again, it's very simple. We can receive a file of sessions that you can get from your analytic tool, whatever it is. We have a specific format, which is quite easy. And so when we get this file, we can directly offline create a machine learning prediction model and a confusion matrix. And then you can see this matrix. And if you like the matrix and you like the results, you can directly integrate the SDK, and directly you are ready to go. We will use this model to start the prediction. The way the platform is set is that we can, at any time, after 2 weeks, 1 month, etc., we can at any time check again the quality of the model with the players to do another matrix, efficiency matrix. And if we want, we can do another model. Let's suppose that you did a lot of changes in your game, or you change you change a bit your acquisition channels, and we think that we should do another model. We can do a new model based on all the data for the players, and the prediction will continue. We just replace the model, and you still have a prediction on a new model. So you see, for live games, it's very easy to see because you can see the quality of a churn prediction with the matrix before integrating our SDK. So that's very, very, very easy. So let's talk about the efficiency matrix. It's very easy here. Here you can see that, for instance, for this game, so that's a real efficiency matrix on a real game. For this game, so that's a very good efficiency matrix. As you can see, the prediction was high for 88% of the players that actually churn. Okay, so which is a very good percentage. And what we call the false positive, the prediction was also high for 60% of players that did not churn. The tools are very important. It's very important to think about it like the fraud detection. When you want to do fraud detection, it's always better to detect some false positive, and then you will say to the customer, okay, we thought it was a fraud, it's not a fraud, that's okay. So that's what you already have in any prediction system, but both values are very important here. So this is a good efficiency matrix that we got for a game with some good retention rates. It's not It's not like a 50% day one, etc. But it's quite good retention rate, and we've also some players that have been playing a long time, so that's a good metrics. Now we can work on any type of games, and here is an example of a matrix which is the worst that we can get. Okay, so you see just 75% of high prediction for the player that churn, and 30% for the player that did not churn. This was for a game with very bad retention rates. Actually, this game was in soft launch and did not go live because obviously at this stage you need to work in your game, all what you are doing in your game to get better retention rates, and then you can apply churn prediction and improve. So that's very important. All the use that you can get for machine learning in a game, it's first to really have a good core game with your good metrics, and then machine learning can help and improve and your retentions and your monetization. Technically, so if you want to integrate the SDK to have a prediction, it's very easy. So you integrate our SDK. The events that we receive are very simple. Obviously, the sessions events, the player starts a session, finish the sessions. And the stage started, it means that the player is playing your core loop. So this really can work with a lot of games. We don't even at this level need to know if he wins or lose or anything. It's really your player is playing the core loop of your game. If you have a game with, let's say, two important core loops, two important gameplay, you can put a stage starting on both. That's the mandatory events. If you have in a purchase, you can send us just when the player is making another purchase. We don't need to know the value or anything. Same thing for a rewarded video ad. You can send us the event that the player chose to watch a rewarded video ad. These two are mandatory, but if we have them, it improves a little bit the prediction. With these events, we can create a churn model, as I explained before. So there's the churn model. This shows that we are using AWS for the whole platform. We are in the support program for Amazon Web Service, and it's very helpful for us. And I always like to thank them for that, AWS. So how it works, every time a player is starting a session, there is a request to our platform, and there is a prediction made for this player at that time, and you just directly get in your game the prediction, low, high. And if the prediction is high, you can take an action. So what type of actions you can take in game with churn prediction? The first question is the impact of your action. An action can have a high impact. For instance, if you give hard money or you reduce a lot the interstitial ads, for instance, or can have a low impact. Also, the action can be immediate or timed. So some example of actions will be give a bonus that will last a few days, unlock a special item, and a special item that will be available in 2 days, in 1 day, a special offer that will last a certain time. If your game has a lot of content, a good thing will be to give a glimpse of advanced levels, a character that you usually could get just after playing more, or a bonus that you can get just playing more. So you can just give it during the session, to give a glimpse. Do a local notification or reduce the ad pressure. Here is an example of how you can use it for an hyper casual game that we are working on. So it's very simple. If the prediction is high, here the decision was to think about is the player a starter, meaning he just played, let's say, less than 5 sessions. It's you decide what is a starter, or he played less than 10 sessions or 5 days. You can decide. So if the player is a starter, it means that he's not yet really fully engaged. Okay, so you need to have a high impact, because not fully engaged and a risk of churn, you need to do something with a high impact. So an example will be for an interstitial ad monetized game to reduce the ad pressure during this session. Now, else, if the player has already played at least 5 days or more than 10 sessions, It means that he likes the game, he likes your game, your core gameplay, because he play quite a bit, but he's still at risk of churn. So that might be the good time, for instance, if you have no ads in a purchase, to make an offer, a discount on this no ad in a purchase. So you see how here you can have two actions. Never forget that these actions are only triggered if the prediction is high, so on the players where we predict high risk of churn. So you see in the matrix what is the impact compared to all the sessions and all your players. Okay, I don't know the time how I am. So first thing in the platform, you get full dashboards, metrics, the MAU, DAU, retention rates, information about the sessions, the length, the funnels of sessions, percentage of players playing 10 sessions, 15 sessions, the funnel of stages. All these are fully ready in the platform. Once you integrate our SDK, you have all this information. Why do we do that? It's not to replace analytic tools. That's not our job. It's because we always keep some players without inference, so without personalization or without churn prediction in this case, so with no action. And so we keep these players, so you can always compare all these metrics for players with and without prediction, for instance. So it's a good way for you to see what is the impact of your actions in the game. More specific for our churn prediction, there is a specific dashboard. Once the prediction is working, it's live. Every day you get a percentage of the percentage of low answers and high answer. So you have like a view of the percentage of players that are at risk of churn every day. So that could also be interesting, because if for a certain day or at a certain time this percentage change, something might happen that we together and you need to think about. Is it in your game, in your acquisition channel? And perhaps we should also do another model. So that's a good way to check what's happening every day with a churn prediction. Okay, last thing, I think almost at the end. Okay, what will be the next step for us for the churn prediction? These next steps are coming from what studios are asking us. The first thing is that so when the prediction is high, you can do an in-game action. What we are going to do is that you will be able to send us what action you took, so we don't need to know what is the action. You give a reward or you reduce ad pressure. It's just that you call it action 1, 2, 3, or 4. Because this way you can analyze the efficiency of these actions. So the first step will be to say, okay, we can tell you that action 1 has a better results to reduce the churn, that action 2 or 3. And then we'll go a step further. As I explained, finding the right balance for the average player is not always the good one. The good thing is to find the right one for each player. So the next step for that will be that we'll be able to personalize. And so meaning that when we make a churn prediction, we can tell you, okay, this player is at risk of churn, and action 3 will be the best one for this player in order to reduce. So you see, the goal for us will be to personalize the action that you can get in your game. All right, I think for me it's okay for my presentation. So I will be very happy to take any questions that you have.
Thank you, Dominique. It was very interesting. I guess we have already a few questions from our audience. So the first question is from Tomer. What parameters from the user's behavior do your models use to come up with the churn prediction?
So what I can tell is what we use, the events that we use from the SDK. So it's we use all the sessions that the player has made, all the sessions, and we use every time he plays the core loop of your game. And we can use the in-app purchase, and we can use the rewarded video ads. All these are computed into a lot of features for each player. We can compute a lot of things, the time of your session, of your last sessions, the time between sessions, etc. We compute all that, and this is all this computing which is feeding the machine learning model. Obviously, I cannot give you the list of the precise feature that we use, but what is important for us is on the game side is very simple to integrate.
Okay, thank you. And I guess we have time for more questions. How do you see the market change over the past 1-2 years in mobile games?
Oh, that's a very generic question. The assumption that we took when we started askblu is that there is a lot of people and very good companies helping studios for acquisition, but really that's what we lived as a studio for retention monetization. It's very you have some very basic tools. I mean, there are nice tools, but analytic tools, we need to do all that by hand. And so we really wanted to put the focus on helping studios and using technology to help all this balancing and retention and monetization part. And what we see, I think, is that more and more studios now are aware that, okay, acquiring player is very important, but keeping those highly acquired player is also very, very important. And we see like a shift of focus. I mean, people are still focused on acquisition, but there's really a growing need and a growing focus on retention and monetization, which is based on retention. Again, machine learning is not the overall solution. You still need to do a lot of things in your game, and there is a lot of all the work you need to do, but it's really a help to automate a lot of tasks that obviously otherwise are really hard to do and very time consuming for the studios. So that will be my answer. The big shift is really a shift toward working more on retention and monetization.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, thank you for such an interesting lecture.
Thank you
I
very much.
guess if anyone else would like to ask you other questions, they could proceed via our platform on Pine
Yes.
and ask you directly.
Exactly.
I would like to thank our audience for consideration. I would like to thanks again, Yor, for such a great lecture.
Thank you
And
very
I
much.
hope to see you during our next Hyper Games conferences.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.